Good morning, traders. It's Tuesday, January 29th. Taking a quick look at the charts, we've got the SP 500 30-minute chart here on the left. This is our trend analysis chart. More or less when the bars are green, the trend is up. We're looking for oversold territories like these lime green areas when they usually fall in sync with panic selling, cycle lows. We had another little lime green area down here where the market just tagged into oversold territory. That's usually when bargain hunters step in and buy prices back up. That's what we saw yesterday. And we'll see if we get some follow through buying. If we zoom out on the chart here, you can see more or less how during a downtrend, the market is red, and then eventually as the swing trading trend flips from to neutral and then to green. So we are in an uptrend. Market dipped into oversold territory yesterday morning. Muscles itself back up. It's trading slightly higher today. We do have a little bit of a gap window here, a couple of gap windows. We had one to the gap, a gap to the upside, a gap to the upside here, gap to the downside, creating this little island top. Hopefully that's not a double top formation from the previous few sessions. You can see we got a top here, another top here. I'm not a fan of island tops, but overall we'll see if the market can work itself up, fill this double gap here. Our cycle analysis shows today pretty much all day right to the close almost we've got an upward bias in the market. If we look at the daily chart, you can see we're on a very strong uptrend. Holding a bullish formation, a little bull flag, looking for a pop up into this 2720 area. We could see a nice pop at any time here. Could be an exhaustion pop, and then we start to see the market pull back and consolidate. If we do see that pop, we're going to see we are long ROKU. Very strong yesterday, opened lower, flushed down lower in the markets, and then rallied all the way back. If we just zoom into yesterday's chart of ROKU, you can see it gap lower, flush down in the morning. Market makers really shaking things up. And then, of course, it muscle is all the way back to close right near the highs of the day. It's on the verge of popping. We got a first target here at about 51. This has got a lot of momentum behind it. It's got good buying. If it does pop and break here, we could see a very significant run to 51. Could happen in a day or two if this momentum is as strong as it looks. Looking at our other play, GDXJ, we're long GDXJ from down in this 2752 area. We got long it a few months ago, more or less a very strong pop in the miners, the precious metals sector. Let's just zoom out a little bit here. You can see where we are. We're starting to make some higher highs and higher lows, which is what we want to see. We've got a low, we've got a higher low. Let's hopefully will be a standout significant higher low as well. And of course we got a higher high and a higher high. If we can break this, then we're heading back up into this 33 area, somewhere up in this zone here, which will coincide more or less with this spike. We'll see this spike in this kind of breakdown level. So this is going to be a pretty extensive, significant level if it gets up to there. Overall, both of our plays bucked the trend yesterday, moving higher, positive, while the rest of the market sold off in a huge way. That's a very good sign, good relative strength, and that's what we're going to be focusing on, are high momentum plays where the money's flowing into the market. And sometimes it doesn't matter what the broad market does, like yesterday where it sells hard. Our plays moved up 2.5% and continued to be positive for the session. So that's what our focus is. Taking a look at where money's flowing today, let's just go to the futures real quick. Futures are up only about 0.1%. NASDAQ up 0.25% higher. So nominal move so far this morning. Bonds lower yesterday and looking like they want to continue to kind of fizzle out. It feels as though money's still rotating into equities. Nothing too interesting at this point in bonds. If we start to break this low here, this could be a topping formation. We could see a quick drop down to this 42 and potentially unwind further, but at this point, kind of neutral there. Taking a look over at, let's take a look at the put call ratio. This chart doesn't make it too easy to see. Let's pull into the 30-minute chart. More or less 30-minute chart, don't mind the colors of the bars, but more or less when we get up above anything above 1 is usually the sign that we're starting to get the markets. There's a lot of fear in the market. People are selling. So yesterday we had a very high level of 1.22, 1.23. Anything above 1.1, 1.2 is pretty extreme. Everyone's buying downside protection, expecting the market to fall, and we are in an uptrend. They're fighting the trend. So if everyone's already been selling and closing their positions yesterday, then really there should just be buyers left, which is why the market's drifting higher today. Hopefully we'll see a pop and a rally in the markets. Let's take a look over at the dollar. Dollar yesterday, uh, relatively flat session on the day. Dollar's flat again today. Not a whole lot of movement going on, but we are seeing precious metals move up. Gold up 0.3%. If you take a look at gold today, it's starting to pop out this tight little 1 day, 2 day kind of top and pause here. It's extending higher. Silver doing the same thing, up 0.6%. Silver still hasn't broken this previous high, but overall high momentum move, and it's getting up to those levels. Along with miners, miners are going to gap higher today as well. Continue to push higher. Overall, equities overseas last night traded higher in the markets, and I think we're going to see the continuation move. Last night we saw the DAX close up 1/3%, the Euro Stoxx up 0.8%, the Nikkei up 0.7%. So we're only up 1/4%. So we still have a 0.5% move in the overall broad stock market today, I think, to play catch up with what's going on overseas. So we'll see if we get more of a push higher today. If we do, our Roku play should pop and really start to move higher as well. Looking at energies, natural gas down 2% this morning. We're looking for this drop over here, this little bear flag, when it was this high momentum sell-off. We were looking for a big drop or gap down to below this 280, down to the 270 area, really flushed the market out. Looks like we're finally starting to see that, and I think it could set up for a good opportunity in due time here for a bottom play or a potential reversal play and knee-jerk reaction to the upside. Crude oil up 0.75% this morning. Again, it does have an upward bias, and it is holding its ground. It did dip down into oversold territory yesterday. If we actually pull up our 30-minute chart of crude, you can see yesterday a gap lower, more or less trading in an oversold territory. It is showing an upward bias for today in the market. It's if you look at the daily chart, the previous session, huge down day, yes, and yesterday and today, more or less, we're consolidating the move and giving back some of it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see it kind of drift or hold this ground a little bit positive on the day, maybe work its way up to 52.80 around the 5-day moving average before maybe it continues its plunge to the downside. I do feel as though 50 will be a first short-term support level. If it tags 50 intraday, if you're a day trader, you should expect an intraday bounce off that. But overall, we're looking at a potential washout low somewhere down to the 67 46 and 48 kind of range here. Anyways, let's take a quick look at Bitcoin. Let me just pull up the actual Bitcoin futures. More or less, Bitcoin continuing to kind of flush down and move down. We're seeing a big volume step in, probably lots of shorts starting to enter this market. Fairly new market for futures. It really only started trading last year for futures. It's a huge mover, and I think it's really going to get manipulated here with lots of short selling. There's lots of downside pressure still, and it continues to flush down. It was trying to carve out a base, never broke above this neckline, ended up breaking down. It continues to kind of bleed out, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see the same type of price action here, where it just continues to kind of, it'll still be an accelerated sell-off, but more or less it just drifts lower at a steady pace with some elevated volume until we get that knee-jerk reaction oversold territory. I am expecting lower prices there. Anyways, that's it for this morning. Talk to you in a little bit. Bye-bye.